550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
No, this is not the way. We can't with one hand call out the left when they laugh at and celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination just a few weeks ago, but on the other hand, normalize, condone, and tell people to just get a sense of humor when the president makes commentary like this. The situation was tragic. A drug-addicted son killed his mother and father. Did that father have horrible political opinions that were dead wrong? Yes. Did that father make comments about Trump that were insensitive and wrong? Absolutely. Is this a moment to kick them while they're down? Absolutely not. We know better than anybody what political violence is like. They tried to kill Trump twice, and they killed Charlie Kirk. This should be a moment of unity, a moment of our nation coming together to mourn, not a moment to make light of a situation, not a moment to kick them down, certainly not a moment to make the situation political in the slightest. We can't appear to be morally superior when the left does it to us, but the second the roles are reversed and they're down, we do not kick them. We do not act like the left. That is not going to be our party. These commentary, it's frankly disgusting.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and I want to thank Butch Miller for filling in for me yesterday. And this news of this tweet that President Trump put out came out towards the end of the show on Monday. And the initial search on it was that it was fake. And that, so I didn't talk about it during that period of time, and I hoped that that was correct. I looked through Grok and other AI tools, and initially, I think because it was so outrageous that people were hoping that it wasn't real. And so I waited, and unfortunately, I found out because the president's rapid response team for the White House retweeted it, and he went through and basically what the president said. I'm not going to read his words because they're not worth repeating. I'm so angry about this. And yes, I know there's people of you out there going to say, "Oh, Martha, don't criticize the president. Oh, his policies are good." And I can separate the policies from the man. I've done it for 10 years. I think his policies are good, and I think in most of the time his heart is in the right place. But in this case, and compare it to what he said about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who had said as many horrible things about him, and he was gracious. He said that Rob Reiner and his wife basically died from Trump derangement syndrome. He made the death of a man and his wife by their child, as something about him. And that was wrong. There's only one word for it. I am a Christian and a wife and a mother before I'm a Republican and a conservative. And it was wrong what he said. And this was Breland Hollyhand, who is one of the guys that are taking up the mantle for Charlie Kirk. And he spoke out very eloquently. This is like a 20-year-old kid that spoke out and was more mature than a 78-year-old president of the United States. And the president then was asked, did he want to modify his comments in an audio cut? Doubled down on it. And said, I didn't like him very much, whatever. Who cares if you liked the man or not? Now, Rob Reiner said a lot of really horrible things about Donald Trump over the years. But I think that James Woods said it best, and we've got some audio of him later on that we're going to play. James Woods is a MAGA conservative. He's an actor too. And when he was trying to get into the business, Rob Reiner gave him a chance, and they stayed friends for years. Friends that argued about politics. Friends that said each other was wrong about things. But James Woods is not celebrating the death of Rob Reiner. And I know you're going to say, oh, Trump's not celebrating. No, he said rest in peace at the end after he tried to make it all about him. And it's wrong, and we are going to lose people in our party because of this. Because we won a year ago because we had Democrats and Hispanics and blacks and others that voted for us that did not normally vote for Republicans. And it's stuff like this that is going to give us a problem. So he should take it back. It's almost too late to do it. But maybe if before the funeral, he could take it back and apologize for what he said. When Rob Reiner was asked on the day of Charlie Kirk's death, not only on Piers Morgan, but on MSNBC and on other liberal outlets, he was gracious. He was kind. It was actually on the day of the death as well as after the funeral. He said, no, we should never celebrate this. He lifted up Erica Kirk for forgiving the shooter and said how much he respected her for thinking that way. He was gracious and kind, even though he probably disagreed with a lot of what Charlie Kirk said. But he was a good person in how he responded to it. There is no way that you can look at what President Trump said, and I may actually read it later, but I'm too mad to do it right now. I may actually read it later, but there is no way you can justify that when a man, and I see it online. Most people are said to him on his True Social, because he did it on True Social, and people were saying, Mr. President, I love you. You've got to take this back. Mr. President, this is wrong. But he won't take it back. And I see a lot of people, some people I respect, they're saying, oh, well, there was an assassination attempt and people said this to him. There were things they did to us and they said these things about him. We're finding out today that the Mar-a-Lago raid was something that the FBI didn't want to do because they didn't think they had cause and nobody spoke up for him. Okay, on the left is what they're going to be saying. But that's the point. We're better than they are. Or we should be. We should be if we call ourselves Christians. We should be if we call ourselves patriots. We should be better. And when I say they, I don't mean Democrats. I mean people that would celebrate someone's attempted assassination on the left and people that would celebrate someone's assassination on the right. We are better than they are. We are better than they are. And it's horrifying that our president would say something like that. He's spending way too much time on foreign policy. He's spending way too much time on what people think about him and not enough time on the domestic policy that people care about. And it is going to cost us in November. Now, there's another thing that happened that everybody's up in arms about, and that's this Vanity Fair article that had these quotes from, Susie Wiles. And I thought it was really funny because when the president was asked about it, he says, no, I've said that about myself, that I have an alcoholic personality. It's a good thing I don't drink because I have an alcoholic personality. And then he supported Susie Wiles. But there's an interesting take to this article that I have heard that I think we ought to think about. I haven't read the article yet. I'm going to read it this weekend because I think it's always better to think about things for a couple of days before you talk about them. But the article from Vanity Fair, I think it's a way that Susie Wiles is reaching out to those groups of people that don't always vote for us, but need to bring them back in the fold. That's a take that a friend of mine in talk radio had. And so I'm letting it ruminate a little bit, and we'll talk about it. We'll take a break.
What you see is what you get. I call it like I see it. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. We have always believed that on this radio program.
It's Todd Starnes, weekdays at noon on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Onward Reserve knows men want clothing that not only fits their body, but their lifestyle. They want something that's comfortable, stylish, and unpretentious. At Onward Reserve, every piece of clothing, footwear, and accessory is designed for a lifestyle of making memories with the people and places he loves most. This holiday season, give him a gift that helps him live authentically. Visit Onward Reserve at 106 Spring Street, downtown Gainesville. Open 7 days a week. Onward Reserve. Live authentically.
Get ready, Gainesville. It's the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event at Krause Family Hyundai. Through year-end, get away with no payments for 90 days. Get a $500 Amazon gift card with every purchase and get 0% financing on popular models like the Santa Fe and Tucson. Shop over 1,000 new Hyundais, all with America's best warranty. 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain protection plus Hyundai Assurance. But to get in on the savings, you got to get here. Krause Family Hyundai on Atlanta Highway off I-985 in Gainesville. Or visit KrauseFamilyHyundai.com for full details.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Picture this. You're on a date, and then bad breath happens. Confidence gone. Here's the truth. Most gums and mints are just bad breath Band-Aids, but not Zellman's Minty Mouth. The functional breath freshener you swallow. Tiny dual-action capsules with mint on the outside, parsley seed oil inside, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders, even garlic and onions. It's only available online. Go to Zellmans.com, Zelmins, Zellmans.com, code FRESH for 15% off.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, Hall County investigators are searching for a local woman last seen Tuesday evening in Gainesville. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Rob talked when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. People said such horrible things, and Rob did not. And when people say horrible things about Rob right now, I find it quite frankly infuriating and distasteful. Did I agree with his politics? I did not. Did I love him as a friend, as an artist, as an icon of Hollywood, and as a patriot? I most certainly did. And I am just absolutely devastated by this terrible event, especially for his family.
Yeah.
And
so it is the Martha Zoller Show, and that was a little bit of the James Woods interview. And if you can get the whole thing, it's about 6 minutes long, you should play it. And I'm going to try to do a better job in the new year of posting more of this stuff on my Substack that I refer to on them. I'm thinking about doing like a show notes kind of thing every day on my Substack so that you can go and see the things I'm talking about each day. So hang in there. We're figuring out new things to do. Will Wade is joining me now, Representative Will Wade. And, Will is running for a higher office, and that's not why I asked him to come on today, although we're going to talk about that. But Will is one of the best people I know. He is a person that is not only committed to serving Georgia, but he is a good, kind person that thinks about other people. And these are the kind of people that you want in public service. So, Will Wade, welcome to the program, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and wow, thank you so much. You're one of those people too, Martha.
Thank you.
I mean, we all, my late father used to tell me, we're all on this rock together. And so I think it's always upon us to try to do for others, even when they may not be able to reciprocate. So in the Christmas season, obviously it's something I think we always think about, but let's take it through into 2026 as well.
Absolutely.
So, thank
Absolutely.
you for having me.
I always say vote, parent your children, and have a face-to-face conversation with someone. That's my little tagline for my show. And it's what we need to do. And today in the Senate, and you're running for the state Senate, today in the Senate, they're going to be interviewing Fani Willis. And I'm going to get you in trouble here. So I hope I don't get you in too much trouble. But in the backstory is there are factions within the Senate that really want to make her pay today. And there are factions within the Senate that just want to get the questions answered and don't want to turn this into a show. And I hope the factions that don't want to turn it into a show win, because she wants it to be a show. So you want to be in an office in the state Senate. How should we approach something like what we're going to do today?
I agree with you in the sense that I think there's several folks on both sides that want it to be a show. I would also, based on just what I've heard from others in the legislature, that there's another former governor that's there that wants it to be a show, and that's Roy Barnes.
Yes.
Her attorney. So I don't think that is the best approach. We're in a political season. There will be moments and there'll be taglines and takeaways that the newspapers and the media will obviously focus on. But I'm in the camp of, I believe in thinking things through. I believe in what are the facts, what can be proven, and make that case. I mean, I think if we're obvious and honest with each other, how she has handled her office has told the story, and just highlight that. And they have spent millions of dollars in Fulton County, and it's been a waste.
So I'm glad you brought up Roy Barnes, because I'm sure you're aware of this, but I want to tell our listeners. Now, Roy Barnes in his life since being governor, he has become one of the highest paid attorneys in the state. And he is a very good attorney. He's a very good attorney, no doubt about that. I mean, if I were in trouble, and certain kinds of trouble, I would hire him. Okay, he's a good attorney. So, but when Roy Barnes was in the Senate, I believe he was in the Senate before he was governor. At that time, what the law we're dealing with right now is that if something happens with a legislator, it gets dealt with in Fulton County, because that's where the capital is, and they've been trying to change this law since Roy Barnes was in the Senate, and he actually got it passed, or maybe he was in the House. He actually got it passed, but Tom Murphy stopped it. And the bill was that you should be tried in the county where it happens, whatever it is, and not everything that deals with the legislature be tried in Fulton County, because it just happens that the capital's in Fulton County. It doesn't mean necessarily that everything that goes on in the capital is related to Fulton County. And so it's interesting that he was on the side of fairness when he was in the legislature, and now I agree with you, wants to make a show out of it.
Yes, it isn't it interesting how the circle of life and even the circle of politics.
The circle of politics, yeah.
It comes back around. And, look, I think that today, I hope that they actually are able to get to a few facts that nobody is aware of. I don't know. I've been focused on trying to finish the drill on a couple of policy things, getting ready for session, looking at, honestly, some cleanup.
Well, good. I'm glad you're not going to quit like all these other people are. It's just crazy.
No.
I mean,
No,
I am
not
so frustrated because we have got some real fissures in our party that we need to not ignore. And if we do, we're going to be in trouble next November. And it means that you guys got to work hard in this next session and not let it just be about the election, and get some good things done. And the second part is you got to figure out how to be the state rep and run for Senate. So I think you've got a lot ahead of you.
It's going to be a busy year. But I'll say this. I've really been operating kind of in this mode for over 20 years. I've always worked full-time as a community banker, and I was a school board member, started in 2004. So, this kind of pace that I'm running is really not new. Obviously, I'm very thankful that right now I'm the only Republican in this race for the Senate District 51. There is a Democrat that is from Blairsville. And I've gotten all seven sheriffs have endorsed my campaign. And I'm just working hard. I've had great breakfasts and lunches, and I went to the Fannin County Christmas meeting last 2 nights ago, and I tell you, I did not win the ugly sweater contest, but I did participate, and it was fun. It was a great time. And look, there are people, I get the sense that, folks want to latch on to the word of the day or the phrase of the day, affordability. I mean, my gosh, it's either I hear 6-7 or affordability. That is my world right now between my children and, what the media is trying to push. But, they actually, most people are smart. They say, look, the affordability issue began during Biden. It got really bad. It got some better. And now we're just waiting to see, are we going to start seeing things come down?
Yes.
I reminded some folks yesterday, the big, beautiful bill, the tax cuts, right? Nobody has filed their 2025 tax returns yet, right? We've not finished this year. We are going to see folks realize, hey, I am getting a little bit of relief when I file in April, right? Or if I could file as soon as February, depending on what kind of role you're in. That's going to help. And this next session, I hope we can really hunker down, to use a term from UGA as well as our governor, and let's have a meaningful conversation about a path to get rid of income taxes, but then also what's more important, and I think affects more families and more hardworking Georgians, is real meaningful property tax relief, and having a deep conversation about no longer having a tax on unrealized gains for somebody's primary residence.
Amen to that.
I think that's where we as a state need to go. Look, most people don't mind paying some tax, but I mean, I've got people screaming about a 30 and 40% increase in assessment, and that's just not realistic.
No, I think you're right. Will, we're up against a hard break here. I agree with you 100%. Thank you so much for being with us today, and Merry Christmas. And we're going to keep talking. We'll be back.
This is Mike Martin with a thought from God's Word. Psalms 27:14. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. The right timing is critical in many areas of life, but especially in the believer's walk. Waiting on God's timing can mean difference between blessing and disaster. First, waiting upon God means that we are to continue in our present circumstance until we receive further instructions from Him. Second, waiting means that we are to center our attention on God while expecting a clear sense of direction or intervention. Each of us must learn to seek God through His Word, through prayer, and through our daily quiet times. When we do so, our spirits will be attuned to His, and we will be prepared to receive His wisdom. It is important to stay close to Him so that when He speaks, we will know how to identify His voice. When we listen carefully to God and allow Him to direct our steps, the Holy Spirit will bring peace to accompany the right decision. These thoughts brought to you by the staff at Milton Martin Toyota.
They say it's hard to find things that are built to last. That may be true for some things, but not for metal roofing from Dawsonville Metal. Metal roofing can last up to 50 years. Now that's quite an improvement from traditional asphalt shingles. But more than durable, metal roofing from Dawsonville Metal is also fire and impact resistant. Plus you get all the quality and durability for about the same cost as a shingled roof. Talk to Justin Odom at Dawsonville Metal Products at 706-265-3099 or log on to DawsonvilleMetal.com.
If your outdoor Christmas display is visible from space, then log on to AccessWDUN.com. Light Up North Georgia is your chance to win a large turtle box, a stay at Lanier Islands Resort, or a Downtown Merchants gift card. Light Up North Georgia is sponsored by Jackson EMC and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30. Fox News. I'm Chris Foster. Providence, Rhode Island police released enhanced video of a person of interest in Saturday's Brown University shooting.
The person of interest is seen wearing a satchel in some images, but in others he is not. They have no information about how old he is and nothing to suggest that this is a Brown University student or staff member. Investigators admit they have a lot more area to canvass. Some businesses and residents say it wasn't until yesterday that investigators knocked on their door for information.
Fox's Brian Yanis. The first funerals are today for victims of Sunday's shooting at Bondi Beach in Australia. The surviving gunman's charged with 15 murder counts.
The footbridge where the two shooters operated from, they fired downhill at about 50 yards, attacking a group of Jews gathered for the Hanukkah celebration right on this iconic beach.
Fox's Steve Harrigan. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. A Flowery Branch woman's been charged with aggravated assault and hit and run after authorities say she intentionally rammed her car into another vehicle during a domestic dispute. Hall County Sheriff's Office spokesman Derek Booth says 50-year-old Kanzi Ann Contreras had been arguing with the 65-year-old male victim on the phone during the day.
The victim returned to the residence at about 10 that night to gather some of his belongings, and Contreras confronted him and headbutted him at that time. It resulted to some bruising around one of his eyes.
Contreras reportedly got into her car and drove it into the victim's car multiple times, including after he was inside. Deputies arrested Contreras and took her to Hall County Jail. She was later released on $19,000 bond. Search continues for a missing Hall County woman last seen Tuesday night. Sheriff's Office is looking for 28-year-old Zendina Yadorova, who was last seen on the 1200 block of Overland Park Drive in Gainesville at about 8 p.m. Anyone with leads should contact the Hall County Sheriff's Office. A photo of Yadorova can be found at Access WDUN. And Georgia Department of Education has released official list of schools identified for targeted support and improvement, including schools in North Georgia, a list of the schools in the Hall County and Gainesville systems, and more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Good Wednesday morning, North Georgia. We continue with mostly cloudy skies, but we will end up seeing some sunshine if you are not already. It's going to happen. Upper 50s to near 60 this afternoon. Low 40s for tonight with partly to mostly cloudy skies. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Nicholson, 39 degrees, Coal Mountain, 38, and in Gainesville, 40. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
While technology has certainly changed the way people do business, it hasn't changed the way we treat our customers. It's Mike Cormier, and at Hardy Chevrolet, we are as committed to excellent customer service as the Hardys were when they started the business here in Gainesville over 4 decades ago. When it's time for a new or used vehicle, remember what Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
We have to fight for every district that we're competing in Georgia. Georgia's not a solidly, bright red state anymore. We are a competitive state. We're a 47-45 state, and we better go out there and compete for every vote. We can't take anything for granted. And that's why this week I'm going to go out there and support a couple of our candidates who are out there on the ballot, who are working hard.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's John King, who's our insurance commissioner, who was running for Senate and basically got kind of pushed out because Derek Dooley got in, and that's okay. That's politics, you know. But he is a terrific guy, and he's right. We are not a ruby red state anymore. We have got to take a look at what the right thing to do is and to communicate our values. Conservative values are better for the state, for the country, for the world. And we need to communicate them well and not get into the ditch on the they did it to us, so we're going to do it to them. That is not Christian. It is not conservative. It takes away from what we should be doing. Now, I got this text in, which I thought was really funny. It says, Rob Reiner's legacy. 1, All in the Family. No. 2, Hollywood director. No. 3, his death resulted in Donald Trump destroying the Republican Party. Yes. You know, you got to laugh or else you're going to cry. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Chad in Oakwood. Hey, Chad, how you doing?
I got a question for you.
Okay.
I got a question for everybody. How many people died up under Joe Biden because of fentanyl and drugs coming over our border?
Absolutely.
How many people died?
We talked about that all the time, Chad. What's your point?
Listen to me. How many people are in the sex trade? How many people are killed and young kids taken advantage of by people that never will be punished up under his administration? Now you take Trump. Look what he's doing. He's stopping it. Why is people mad at him for? For saving people's lives.
They're not mad at him for saving people's lives, Chad. Okay, and I have touted that. But he is the president of the United States, which means there is a responsibility that goes along with that to act in a certain way. There is a responsibility to do that. And my problem is he didn't have to weigh in on Rob Reiner's death at all. Rob Reiner's a Hollywood figure. He's not a governmental figure. But he did, and he made it about him. And that was wrong. This man was killed. He and his wife were killed by their drug-addicted son. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying, why is people mad at him for saving countless people's lives for bombing boats that bringing up fentanyl and drug and disease over here?
They're not mad at him. We're celebrating it. Okay, and they're celebrating it across the country. But it doesn't mean, and you know what? I like what he's doing in Venezuela. I think he needs to focus a little bit more on the home front and less about the rest of the world. But I like what he's doing overall. But because I like what he's doing and because I voted for him doesn't mean I can never say I think he did something wrong.
Even the Democrats, if you got children, wouldn't you want him to save your kids from fentanyl?
Oh, fentanyl's terrible. It's terrible. Chad, thanks for your call today. Appreciate it very much. Alan sent a message in that said the start of a beautiful day in Gainesville, Georgia. And it was a beautiful sunrise. That he sent me a picture of a beautiful sunrise, which I thought was great. And we got a couple of text messages in that I want to get to. First is, all hearings are political shows, political grandstanding, and that's about the hearing that's going to be going on probably as we speak. I think it starts at like 10 o'clock. Let me just warn you folks, Fonnie Willis wants a show. Roy Barnes wants a show. And we need to make sure our Republican senators do not rise to the bait. And I don't know, I need to answer this question if it's a bipartisan commission, because I don't know that. I hope it's not just Republicans. But you're right. All these committee hearings have become political shows. Now, Jerry said, loud and clear in Beaufort, Georgia, I believe that the Vanity Fair article was a setup, and it was set up by our president to bring the focus back to him and his administration. He irritates me to no end when he has so many opportunities to rise above the fray and show true leadership. His comments about Rob Reiner were deplorable and uncalled for. And we wonder why there's so much animosity, division, anger, and violence. Our president, although he doesn't cause it, he certainly does not help the situation. I continue to pray for this country and the leaders. That's Jerry, a blessed veteran. Also, I think I got that through twice. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. Look, we got a lot of work to do. And it's so frustrating to me because I praise Donald Trump a lot. Okay? I'll say when a Democrat does something right. I like what John Fetterman's doing and the things, the issues he's getting involved in. We should be Americans before we're Republicans or Democrats. And yes, I think the president was treated terribly after his assassination attempt, and I said so. People were cheering the fact that he almost got killed. And then within a couple of weeks, they caught another person that was trying to set up an assassination attempt. That was a horrible thing, too. And I said so at the time. Charlie Kirk's death was terrible. Did I agree? Well, I agreed with most everything Charlie Kirk said, but I had even pointed out when he was younger, he was a little more volatile than he was as he grew up and matured. I mean, I hope I'm not held responsible for everything I said when I was 16 years old. Okay? Or 17 or 18. I hope I've gotten better with age. But we've got to meet people where they are. And we've got a midterm election. And I'm glad that Representative Will Wade, who's running for Steve Gooch's Senate seat, I'm glad that he brought up the part that a lot of these things you're not going to realize in the big, beautiful bill until you file your taxes for 2025. And you see that you're going to get a bigger refund because the tax laws changed for the better, but you probably were taking the same amount of withholding out of your check if you're a W-2 employee. So it's probably going to mean you're going to get more back, and we're going to get right around anywhere from February to June, we're going to get people getting more money in their hands than they thought they were going to get in a tax refund, and that's going to make people feel better about the economy. But until then, we need to be consistent in our message, and we need to talk about these things and a little less about, I'm not saying don't do the work of the Venezuelan drug lords, and when I say the work, I mean getting rid of them. But maybe you don't have to talk about it every day. I don't need to know every single thing that's happening, every single thought you have in your head, every single thing that's going on. There are things that the federal government should do that we don't need to know about because we trust the people that we elected to do what they say they're going to do. But the tactic of this president is he is the most transparent president in the history of the world. In the history of the world, there's no doubt about that. He is extremely transparent. He is trying to fight drug addiction because actually, probably if he and Rob Reiner had sat down and talked, they probably would have found a lot of common ground on the struggles that Rob Reiner had with his drug-addicted son and the struggles that Donald Trump had with his alcoholic brother. There would have probably been some common ground there. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if James Woods didn't try to make that happen a few times. And it didn't happen for whatever reason. Because it's a lot harder to go after somebody if you've met them. And that's why you need to vote, parent your children, and have face-to-face conversations. I know I'm sounding preachy today. You know, I know I'm sounding preachy today. But we've got a lot of things that are happening that we need to deal with. And it's important. We'll be back.
Wake up and speak up.
Wake up. Come on, wake up, America.
Join the conversation weekdays at 9 with the Martha Zoller Show on North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Give a gift they'll cherish for a lifetime. Give gold, diamonds, and jewelry from Gainesville Jewelry. To celebrate 48 years serving 3 generations, Phil Forrester has selected the largest and best collection of estate jewelry. Diamonds in every style from Gabriel semi-mounts to the #1 gift this year, Diamond Flex Bangles. If you can't find it at Gainesville Jewelry, it hasn't been made. Plus, bring in your old and broken jewelry and get up to $45 a gram toward your purchase. Gainesville Jewelry, 1020 Jesse Jewell Parkway, Gainesville. Open late every night until Christmas.
It's bad enough you get wet when your roof leaks, so don't get soaked when it comes to getting it repaired. This is Chris Earls at Georgia Select Roofing, where we have outstanding Google reviews and an A+ BBB rating, because we know roofing and customer service. If it's a new roof, a roof repair, or gutters and downspouts, estimates are free and we offer financing. See us online at georgiaselectroofing.com or call me at 678-316-6899. At Georgia Select Roofing, we have you covered.
During this Christmas season, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you what I'm grateful for. This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I'm grateful for my God and my family. I'm thankful for the opportunity to minister to my parents, which helped me to better serve my clients. I'm grateful for my clients and their confidence and trust, and I'm thankful for our loyal listeners to Truth in Planning. Merry Christmas, and if I can talk to you about your needs, please log on to KevinTharp.com.
Thanks to your generous support, Georgia Mountain Food Bank with our pantry partners have been able to provide over 700,000 nutritious meals each month to families in our community. This year, we have seen the need for food assistance grow exponentially. You can feed hope by filling plates this holiday season by giving to the Georgia Mountain Food Bank. And thanks to a generous matching gift from Milton Martin Toyota, every dollar you donate will be doubled, providing even more meals to neighbors who are struggling to put food on the table. Give today or learn how you can invest in our community at gmfb.org.
70 years. That's how long Howard Brothers has been serving our community. In a world that changes fast, it's rare to find a local business built on faith, family, and genuine service. But Howard Brothers has been doing it since 1955. From outdoor power equipment to hardware and service, generations of families and pros have trusted them because they've always trusted us. So here's to a true North Georgia original. Howard Brothers, 70 years of serving their communities and many more ahead.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, President of Brunel University has bestowed the honor to lead a Southeast Regional Trustees Board in education. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Look, I've been hearing for 10 years that Trump's going to lose his base over this or that or the other. And for millions upon millions of Republicans who support what he's doing, who have lived through the last 10 years, they have learned to take Donald Trump for who he is, all in, all the time. And they are very appreciative of what he's doing for the country. They like what he's done on taxes. They like what he's doing on immigration. They like that he lives up to his campaign promises. But we're living through another moment here where a bunch of people are going to come out and make predictions about Trump and the base and this and that. And the reality is, it's not true. There are going to be a lot of people who don't like this statement, and then they're going to assess the state of American politics and assess the alternative and say, I knew what I was signing up for when I voted for him 3 times, and I'm going to ride it out. He is the most consequential political force in the modern era. He is the strongest party boss either party has ever seen. He got more votes each time he appeared on the ballot. He has people that will only vote for him. That puts you in a different realm. I mean, when you're that kind of and 2-term presidents often have this, but you cannot deny, he is the most consequential political force of the modern era of either party.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Scott Jennings, and I agree 100% with everything that he said. And I don't think that the Rob Reiner comments are going to impact MAGA at all. Okay? I don't think so. And I think for a lot of Republicans, it's not going to impact. I mean, they're not going to like it like I don't, and they're going to say something about it like I did. You know, but if he was on the ballot again, they would probably vote for him. The problem is going to be the very large number of people that voted Republican for the first time, and they don't really care about the personality issues. What they want to see is results. And the results are going to be seen through your tax return being filed next year. It's going to be seen through other things that are happening. And there hasn't been the strong job creation numbers because so much of the stuff that the president is starting, you won't see those job creation numbers until next year because it's going to take at least a year to get some of this stuff up and running. And in some cases, these manufacturing situations, it could be as much as 5 years. And we have to be able to message that in a way that does not make people fall asleep or go out and protest. Because if you're explaining, you're losing. And we can't lose in November next year. If we lose in November next year, then all we're going to have is gotcha moments if the Democrats get back into power. And again, I'm not saying the rank-and-file Democrats. I think what Democrats have, and us to some degree, is we have a problem with our leadership. We have a problem with the people that are in leadership. They've been around too long. There's no new ideas. Trump is an interesting figure because he does have a lot of new ideas, and he will listen to people. He's a very good listener. That's why it surprises me that when the same guy that stood on the tarmac, when he was told about the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and was gracious and kind and understanding to a woman who went around the world, had a lot more impact than Rob Reiner, went around the world giving speeches in the off-season of the Supreme Court criticizing Donald Trump. He was very gracious. And I want to know where that guy was related to Rob Reiner, because I'm sure they knew each other. I'm sure their paths crossed when Donald Trump was a darling of the left, gave to left-wing causes, and was very involved in Hollywood. He had one of the most successful TV shows in The Apprentice that had ever been on up until that point. And you know what? With the way media is so fractured now, you will never have a show like The Apprentice again. Kind of a show like Friends. Logan, I want to bring you in on this just for a second. Friends was still appointment watching. It may be the last one. Friends or Seinfeld or one of those are the last appointment watching.
Right.
Game of Thrones of a streaming kind of show.
Right, that or I know Breaking Bad. Those were kind of the main two.
Appointment watching.
Yeah.
Where they didn't release them all at once, where you could binge watch them. They did them one at a time. So I think what is really interesting about all of this is that we're going to have a number of things that are going to happen with media. So bottom line is, folks, we have got a lot of things that we have got to fix. And it's going to be about messaging, and it's not going to be about our leadership, although we need good leadership. It's going to be about the situation that we've got to have with us being leaders in our own families, in our own communities, in our own places. That's what Erica Kirk was really saying on Saturday night. And I know poor Barry Weiss is getting, criticized now because the ratings were not good on Saturday night related to her town hall. And, oh, no, she's ruined CBS News. No, CBS News has been in trouble for a long time, and you can't judge CBS News by one town hall. I watch the town hall, and I don't normally watch CBS. So I'm a person that tuned into it that hasn't watched CBS News in years. So because the overnights in New York, the overnight numbers come from New York. Because the overnights in New York were down doesn't mean that people all across the country didn't tune in. Also, it was a football Saturday. I don't think somebody's going to watch a news show at 9 o'clock on a football Saturday.
No, that's usually going to get some lower ratings right there.
Absolutely. So to my point about the appointment watching,
yes,
I don't think there'll ever be shows like The Apprentice as a reality show, maybe even Real Housewives, maybe even, the other ones we were talking about, like Friends and that kind of thing, because it's not, everybody can't watch everything like they used to be able to.
I mean, and especially now where there's, there's so many different streaming services that have pretty much all the shows you ever want to watch on them. It's hard to, especially create a new show and have that kind of appointment television where as soon as it comes out, you have to drop everything and watch that. Only one I can think of, at least in my life, that I'll watch, as soon as it comes out is Stranger Things, which filmed here in Atlanta a lot of the time, and it's been on for 10 years, which is wild for me to say. But, that's also just a big one, too.
So here's Landman is a show that everybody's talking about right now.
Yes.
Okay, I watched the first 2 episodes of it. And it was just too violent and too much bad language. I'm not a prude. I'll take a little bit of that, but it was so much. There's like, okay, I'm not going to watch it.
If it's every other word, then that's a problem.
I loved the premise of it. It was real talk, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the truth, okay? But here's just to give you an answer. In Landman, that's on Paramount, which is a CBS product.
That it is, yep.
Okay. The season 2 premiere was 9.2 million views, which is how they look at things now. But season 1 was 14.9 million views. So it's gone down some from season 1 to season 2, but it's still one of the biggest ones out there with 9 million.
Right.
And the closing night of MASH, which I know was before most of you were born, I think it was in 1981 or 82, 180 million people watched that final episode.
Yeah, we're not getting that nowadays. There's no way.
180 million people watched the final episode. And I was in Tennessee on a business trip, and it was a election night, like a runoff night or something like that, and they kept interrupting it with updates on the election, and it was absolutely crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So anyway, there's so much more we're going to talk about, and I'm going to take this discussion to the next level in our next segment. We're going to have Pastor Justin Giboney on from the AND campaign, and he has become one of my closest friends and colleagues over the last couple of years since I've gotten to know him. And I trust his views. He tells me when I get out of my lane as far as being too Republican, and I call him out a little bit every now and then, but not very often because he's a pastor, which means he's got a direct line, so I don't want to give him too much of a hard time. But we're going to talk about this kind of place we're in right now. And it didn't start with Charlie Kirk. It started with people cheering when Donald Trump almost got assassinated, and you can go before that for something else. I mean, the problem is we are so transparent in this world now that there's nobody telling anybody that it's not appropriate for you to say certain things. And what I'm going to try to do here, like I did at the beginning of the show, I voted for Donald Trump, but the comments he made about Rob Reiner were about Donald Trump, not about Rob Reiner. And Donald Trump's not involved in this situation. And he should have either said nothing or said something like, our thoughts and prayers go out, because that's the most important thing that family needs. A mother and father were killed by their child that probably had a drug problem. And it was horrible. It was horrible. And this was a man who, when Charlie Kirk died, even though he did not like Donald Trump at all, was gracious and kind and uplifting about Erica Kirk, about her forgiveness, about those kinds of things. So Rob Reiner modeled the kind of behavior that you should have. Be passionate about your politics, but be gracious about the people you know. And that's what we got to get back to. That's what we have to get back to. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. You can also text us at that number. We appreciate you folks, and we'll be back.
Hey there, it's Cody Lovin, owner of Crawlspace Medic. Is your crawlspace giving you trouble? Maybe it's moisture, structural issues, or even foul odors? Don't worry, my team and I, we've seen it all. At Crawlspace Medic, we specialize in crawlspace repairs, encapsulations, and basement waterproofing, ensuring your home's foundation stays solid and protected. We're all about delivering top-notch service you can trust with solutions that last. Give me a call at 706-410-2400 or visit crawlspacemedic.com for a free evaluation.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. 10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
This is Trainer Games.
Watch it on Prime Video starting January 8th.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
A special interview
for an ex-special counsel. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Republican-led House Judiciary Committee is about to question in private Jack Smith, the former special counsel who got 2 Trump indictments in criminal cases dropped after the election. Chairman Jim Jordan tells Fox,
"Remember, they put a gag order on the President of the United States. This is something we'll ask him about today."
Smith was subpoenaed this month to provide both testimony and documents relating to his various prosecutions of President Trump during his time between terms, including alleged efforts to overturn election results and alleged mishandling of classified documents. Smith had offered to testify publicly, though the committee Republicans declined that.
Fox's Evan Brown. Tonight, President Trump will address the nation at 9 p.m. Eastern, expected to tout his accomplishments in the first year of his second term. Will he bring up Venezuela? The president posted on Truth Social, days after the U.S. seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, that he's ordering a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers to Venezuela, writing,
"It'll only get bigger until such time as they return to the U.S. all the oil, land, and other assets they previously stole from us. The illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from these stolen oil fields to finance themselves, drug terrorism, human trafficking, murder, and even kidnapping." Now, dictator Nicolas Maduro, again overnight, called the Trump administration thieves.
Fox's Jillian Turner at the State Department. There is more video in the search for the Brown University shooter. Fox's Brian Yennis reports from Providence. Police hope someone recognizes the mannerisms and walk of the man in the mask in the footage.
The Attorney General says so far the video released is the best they have of this person of interest. Police say video shows this man casing the neighborhood 5.5 hours before the shooting.
2 students were murdered, 9 others wounded on Saturday. Nick Reiner could be arraigned in court this morning in Los Angeles the day after being charged with murder in the stabbing deaths of his parents in Los Angeles. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. Public aid is needed to locate a Hall County woman last seen Tuesday evening. WDUN's Logan Landers reports.
Hall County Sheriff's Office is on the lookout for 28-year-old Tindana Yonderova, who was last seen along the 1200 block of Overland Park Drive in Gainesville at around 8 p.m. Tuesday. She is described as 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighing about 120 pounds, with wavy brown hair and brown eyes. Authorities say she was also last seen wearing a black jacket and black shoes. A link to contact Hall County Sheriff's investigators and a photo of Yonderova can be found at Access WDUN.
A woman from Flowery Branch recently arrested after she allegedly headbutted a victim and rammed into his car with her vehicle multiple times during a domestic dispute. Derek Booth with the Sheriff's Office in Hall County says their deputies were called to the home on Strickland Road at around 11:30 p.m. last Thursday. That's where they found tire marks in the yard and a bumper cover in the grass.
They investigated some more, and according to the initial details, the suspect in this case, 50-year-old Cansey Ann Contreras of Flowery Branch, had been arguing with the victim, the 65-year-old man, on the phone.
Booth said that when the victim came back home to collect his belongings, that is when Contreras assaulted him. Deputies arrested Contreras and took her into the Hall County Jail, and she was charged with second-degree criminal damage to property and battery, as well as hit and run and DUI. Leader at Brenau University has been given another top responsibility, this outside of the Gainesville campus, as WDUN's Lawson Smith explains.
President David Barnett was affirmed to serve as chair of the 77-member Board of Trustees for the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges at the commission's annual meeting in Nashville. Barnett succeeds Blaine Hansen, the executive vice president of Lees McRae College in North Carolina. He says in a release that he is humbled to be selected to lead the trustees in continuation of his service to their board after 5 previous years of service.
And the city of Atlanta's upcoming holiday celebration will embark on a new way to ring in the new year, as Mayor Andre Dickens announced Monday. A citywide fireworks and drone display will replace the Peach Drop at Underground Atlanta. And Mayor Dickens says you can see it just about anywhere.
All you have to do is step outside, hit your neighborhood spot, meet on a rooftop, or watch from your backyard.
More news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Mostly cloudy skies, but we will end up seeing some sunshine in upper 50s to near 60 this afternoon. Low 40s tonight with partly to mostly cloudy skies. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Clarksville, 43 degrees, Tiger, 41, and in Gainesville, 44. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hi, I'm John Shackelford, Executive Director of Eagle Ranch.
For families in the middle of a struggle, knowing what is needed and where to go for help can be hard. To support these families, we created First Step Counseling. This new program allows families looking for help to meet with an Eagle Ranch counselor to share their story and make a plan for healing and renewal before starting therapy. Counselors are standing by and ready to meet with you and your family in person within a few days, so no long wait list. And like all Eagle Ranch services, no one is turned away because of financial constraints. Schedule a call with our First Step team today by going to eagleranch.org.
Magical Nights of Lights has returned to Lanier Islands Resort. The spirit of the holidays shines brighter than ever as you drive through 6 miles of twinkling displays where toy soldiers march, Santa tailgates in style, and pickleball elves play. Visit holiday headquarters inside Game Changer featuring Clark's Pop-Up Bar or licensed to chill Snow Island with ice skating and snow tubing. The lights are glowing. The magic is calling. Your holiday tradition begins at Magical Nights of Lights at Lanier Islands Resort. Visit LanierIslands.com for reservations.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Beloved Rabbi Eli Schlanger in this terror attack has shaken the local community. But what no one knows until now is that his wife, Chaya, was also injured with a bullet wound to her back. And their newborn baby, barely 2 months old, suffered shrapnel wounds, and he's still in hospital. Witnesses have told me that Eli, who felt responsible for all of those present because it was his event, held his hands up in a sign of surrender like this, and he walked towards the gunman as the gunman reloaded, and the rabbi pleaded with him to stop. Instead, he was gunned down and killed.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. It's been a tough week. I think, we had the Brown University shooting that we still don't know a lot about, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I wait for authorities to tell me what's going on, and I ask, I think, appropriate questions. Then we heard about the murder of Rob Reiner, and then, of course, the attack on Bondi Beach in Australia in a anti-Semitic attack on people that were just gathering to pray. And it makes me think a lot about what we need to do to turn the temperature down. And yes, it has to do with political leadership, but it also has to do with our leadership. And I wanted Justin Giboney to join me today. Pastor Giboney is become a great friend of mine. I'm so thankful for being connected with him because it's been one of the real blessings of my life. He has the AND campaign, and we at different times have been on different sides of political issues, and but we're on the right side of Christ, I hope, and that's what we can unite on. Justin, welcome back to the program.
Hey, how's it going, Martha? Blessed to be here.
Thank you. I mean, it is hard on the soul right now, Justin, and I think it started before Charlie Kirk in September, but it seems like we go through these waves, but what's the line in Tale of Two Cities? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, right? You see this horrible way that humanity is acting in certain ways, and because of the highlighted ability to communicate, we know about so much more that's happening in the world than we ever did or around the corner. And then you've also got, I try to follow really good stories too of people being good in humanity and kind to each other, because you can get in this rabbit hole of despair if you're not careful.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And what's going on today really is in stark contrast to what this season represents, right? So we're in a season where I hope all of us are trying to think about the one who brought light, joy, and hope into the world. But it seems like, so much around us is about these kind of conflict entrepreneurs that I've been calling them recently, who I think a lot of even Christians are being discipled by, who are always telling us how miserable we are or should be, and that other people are responsible. And so you see a lot of people acting out in attacks on others because they're brought to feel like if I can get rid of this one group, or if I can at least denigrate this one group, everything will be better. But again, I think the Christmas season should bring the opposite feeling. We should look at, the movies that we all love, regardless of what culture you're from. If you've been out here for a while, there's all types of Christmas movies and songs that we all share. What are the things that bring us together? And I think what I appreciate about you is your focus on that. And I think people in general, Christians, good citizens in general, need to be focused more so on what can bring us together.
And look, I'm a strong Republican. I'm a conservative. I voted for Donald Trump 3 times. And I know you've worked on Democratic causes in the past. I don't know if you still call yourself a Democrat, but you have worked on Democratic causes in the past. This week, and I've criticized Rob Reiner over the years because I think Rob Reiner should have stayed in his lane of creativity, and not gotten so involved in the political. But he was a good old-fashioned liberal and was out there, and because of his involvement in the culture, I mean, there's probably not too many directors that have had movies that have had as much of an impact on the culture as Rob Reiner has, and he was a great storyteller. And so he said a lot of things about Donald Trump, but when Charlie Kirk died, he went on not only friendly news media, okay, but he also went on liberal news media, friendly to Charlie Kirk is what I mean. He went on liberal news media and he said, this is horrible. It shouldn't have happened. You shouldn't be killed for your opinions. His wife is amazing, having forgiven the person who's alleged to have killed her husband. And I'm amazed at that kind of forgiveness and being able to do that. I mean, it was a gracious, wonderful statement that he made just 3 months ago. And then he is murdered in his home, apparently with his wife, apparently by their son. And somehow the President of the United States makes it about him. And I cannot defend that. I cannot defend that. It doesn't mean I'm not a Republican anymore. It doesn't mean I don't think conservative values are good. It doesn't mean I don't think there's some good things that have happened. But I can't defend words like that.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. The Bible talks about impartiality all the time, which is holding the same standard to whatever group of people or regardless of what happens. And I think that's what you're showing. And we need more of that. We get so attached to our narratives and so attached to our votes that sometimes we will defend the indefensible. But again, I think when it comes to the Christmas season, when it comes to the spirit that we should be having, when we look at Christ, it's always should bring about a kind of self-examination, right? Whether that's an individual self-examination or what you did is more of a collective self-examination of yourself and also of our leaders. Instead, I think what we do is kind of focus on how everybody else gets that wrong, when the most important thing is to look at ourselves and to see what we can do better. You've modeled that today, and I think we need more of that. I've said before that, if Trump says something about people who are disabled, I can't get mad at that and then dismiss when Jasmine Crockett says something about Governor Abbott, right? But too often we see people doing that, and especially for people of faith, we've got to be able to draw those lines and do it more consistently. So I appreciate you doing that and being very clear.
This is going to sound corny, but you have to do it with love too, because kind of the tagline of my show is vote, parent your children and the children in your life, and have a face-to-face conversation with someone, because this is not going to change from us, being at our keyboards and being in our silos and only talking to people that agree with us. This is not going to change by that. And as uncomfortable as it is to have those conversations, Lord knows, I just spent 5 days on a boat with my entire extended family over Thanksgiving. And we have Democrats and Libertarians and Republicans and every kind, every point of view there is. And we had a fabulous time, and nobody ended up going to their corners. And you just have to model that behavior, and you got to start with your own family. And then you got to move on from there.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. You can't have those conversations without grace. Even with that self-examination has to have grace. And something else I'll add to that is also having those conversations without being so fragile, without being hypersensitive. When we think something is right and we're passionate about it, and there's a lot to be passionate about, I think sometimes we get hypersensitive to where we can't hear other people out, or anything that doesn't match, again, our narrative, we just want to immediately dismiss it or take offense to something. And I would say, as the Bible says, you be slow to take offense, and that we should be able to hear people out, even if some of the things they say make us cringe. I'm sure we do the same to others all the time.
So I want to ask you a personal question in this season, because you were very involved in Democratic politics. And then, as you've told the story here before, where you were started to feel a little uncomfortable about some of the values in the Democratic Party, but also in the Republican Party, how we talked about some of those values. Like, you were a little more aligned with our values in certain areas, but you didn't like the way we talked about them. But in your own party at that time, you felt uncomfortable about how they were interacting with church people. And I think that's a fair assessment, right, Justin?
Yes.
Of where you were.
It is.
So how do you have those conversations? Because you've been dragged a little bit back into the political side, and not necessarily working. I don't mean working for people, but people like me call you and ask you for your opinion. People around want to know what you think. How do you manage that?
Well, I would say I've never not been political, but certainly have tried to pull back from being partisan. And so what I do now more so is try to focus on taking the right position rather than taking the right side, right? So from issue to issue, I may be center left, I may be center right, but I want to make sure that I'm considering my values, the compassion that I think is called for, but also the convictions that we have, to make sure I take the right position. And, one thing my organization, the AND Campaign, does is try to de-emphasize party. It doesn't bother me that people are in parties. It does bother me when Christians outsource their public witness to a party or ideological tribe. So I try to de-emphasize those things and emphasize Christian principles so I can take the right position. And that's really been my point of view since the moments that I've talked about on here before.
Yes, I like that. Taking the right position, not the partisan position. I like that. Because you do on certain things have to, there's times where you have to, like, I'm involved in partisan things. I work for candidates sometimes. Sometimes you have to suck it up, and you've got to vote with your party for certain things. But you've got to be able to decide, is this a conscience issue, or is this just you're voting for a certain agenda? And you got to know the difference. You got to know the difference between, okay, I can't cross this line because it's going to affect my values, as opposed to just day-to-day operations.
That's right. You can't turn off your critical thinking, right? You can't let somebody else make all those decisions. I'm sure, especially for people in office, there are sometimes practical considerations. I wouldn't make that scope too large, but at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we're doing the best for people. And I've caught myself even working, I worked for a mayor here in Atlanta for a long time, just wanting to get things done and just wanting to win, and not paying close enough attention to how it affects people and how it aligns with my principles and beliefs. Justin
Giboney, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. I look forward to doing a lot of work with you in the future, and yes. I appreciate you.
Merry Christmas, Martha. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. We'll take a break. Then we've got a few questions that have come in, a few text messages, and a few phone calls. We'll be back.
This week on Bud's Garage, favorite Christmas movies, last-minute car gift certificates, and an amazing Christmas tree adventure. That's Bud's Garage, Saturday at noon, presented by Oakwood Tire on North Georgia's News Talk WDUN. Always here, always local.
Thanks to your generous support, Georgia Mountain Food Bank with our pantry partners have been able to provide over 700,000 nutritious meals each month to families in our community. This year, we have seen the need for food assistance grow exponentially. You can feed hope by filling plates this holiday season by giving to the Georgia Mountain Food Bank. And thanks to a generous matching gift from Milton Martin Toyota, every dollar you donate will be doubled, providing even more meals to neighbors who are struggling to put food on the table. Give today or learn how you can invest in our community at gmfb.org.
Building, moving, remodeling, they all create more waste than will fit in your average garbage can. Thank goodness for Waste Eliminator. They offer roll-off dumpsters in all sizes. Just visit wasteeliminator.com, click on Order Dumpster, and they'll deliver just what you need. From simple home cleanout to large commercial projects, Waste Eliminator handles it all. Schedule your roll-off dumpster today at wasteeliminator.com. Environmentally responsible and committed to customer service. It's Waste Eliminator.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all our friends and family of Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac of Baldwin. It's model year closeout and Santa's got some deals over at Hayes. How about new 2025 Sierras up to $12,000 off MSRP with trade assistance, and new 2025 Suburban High Countries up to $10,000 off MSRP, and new 2025 GMC Acadias up to $4,000 off MSRP, and 1.9% finance for up to 36 months. Stop in at Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac in Baldwin.
This December at Free Chapel, celebrate Christmas with Grammy Award winner Jason Crabb, inspiring messages from Pastor Jensen Franklin, and a beautiful candlelight service for the whole family. Join us every Sunday in December for special Christmas experiences, plus Jason Crabb on December 21st and our annual candlelight services on Christmas Eve. For times and locations, text the word Christmas to 510-510 or visit freechapel.org.
This Christmas, forget the sweaters and socks. Give the gift that keeps on mowing, an Exmark mower from Howard Brothers. Whether you're treating yourself or surprising someone who loves a perfect lawn, an Exmark brings pro-level performance and power all year long, and it looks great with a Christmas bow. Visit the Howard Brothers near you. The friendly folks there can help find you the best Exmark gift for everyone on your list. Merry Christmas from Exmark and Howard Brothers.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Hall County Commissioner scheduled to hold a hearing this morning behind the possible removal of 3 planning board members. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
And then wanted to know more, and of course what the White House is saying is that it's been significantly taken out of context. All I can tell you about Susie is this: revered, respected, has the total confidence and trust of the president. He's come out this afternoon and backed her on everything. And so, look, I mean, ultimately, there's only one person's opinion that matters. President of the United States, he loved Susie yesterday. He loves her today. And the world keeps spinning. So I think, look, for most people, this would be a little bit of palace intrigue, but I don't detect any wobbling in the leadership of and her position at the White House.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and, I know what's important, Logan. We got these great kids going by the window waving at us, and look how excited they were that we waved back.
I was about to say, that'll cheer anyone up, see that.
That'll give you a little Christmas spirit. Anyway, let's go to the phones now and talk to Greg in Pendergrass. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Pretty good, and you?
Good.
Well, now, what I'm about to say, don't take that I'm condoning what President Trump said, which I don't agree with. But he has been ridiculed, effigies made him with blood running down his head, called Nazis, Hitler, all that stuff. They tried to bankrupt him. I kind of understand where he's at, because for 10 years this guy has been beaten up on. And I just wonder, and Rob Reiner was gracious with Charlie Kirk, no doubt about it. But what if Rob Reiner had been beaten up like that for 10 years? Do you think he would still be so gracious?
I hear your point completely, and I understand what you're saying, because nobody has taken what comes along with the kind of transparency you have from Donald Trump is the kind of abuse he's gotten, right? I mean, when you know everything, when your life's an open book, then you give people the ammunition sometimes to go after you, and they take it. That's the worst part. They take it. And I don't disagree with you that he has put up with a lot. If this had been a political figure, maybe I could understand it. But then Ruth Bader Ginsburg, my example of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, where she was a lot worse than Rob Reiner ever was and had a lot more power to do something about it. And he was gracious. I want to see that. I want him to rise above it because he's won. He's won in every single case he's won. He has been vindicated, and he should be happier about it than he is. But I will say with the caveat, okay, I think most of this year he has, maybe this was a bad moment, okay, and we all need to learn. I always say you got to give him a little grace, and also we people that have opinions need to be able to say we're sorry sometimes. And I know he's never going to do that because my father was a New Yorker. I know how New Yorkers are. But it just was horrifying to me in this situation. That's all.
I agree. But the second thing is I saw an interview with Jensen Franklin. They were interviewing Jensen Franklin after Trump's first term. And he said, this just stuck with me. He said, he goes, Donald Trump, he tries to do the right thing. He knows what to do for America, but he lacks the compassion gene.
Do you know what? He said that on my show one time. I don't know if that's where you heard it, but he was on.
I might have heard it on that.
Yeah, he was on my show in April of 2021, and we were talking about the previous term, and he made that same comment. So, hey, I think that's fair. But then he's very compassionate about certain things. He's great with children. He's raised wonderful children that really don't get into trouble. You might not like what they say, but they don't get into trouble. And, and look, I don't want to pass judgment on Rob Reiner because we all know good parents that had bad kids, and we have great kids that had horrible parents. I mean, sometimes... sometimes it's not you. Sometimes a kid has a serious problem.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
Thanks,
I
Greg.
had a serious problem for a while. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments today. And thank you. That was a very nice disagreement. It was a very nice disagreement. Now, we got to call in with a question saying, would I want to raise my sons to be like Donald Trump? I think from a business side, yeah, because I think he does a great job in business. And weirdly enough, you see some compassion in the way he does business. But no, I would not hold Donald Trump up as an example for my sons. But I don't vote for examples. The people that deify the people they vote for, like there's a lot of that goes on with Barack Obama. And Barack Obama, as far as, attacking boats and killing people and doing drone attacks, and, he killed a lot of people with very quiet, clandestine military actions that were never exposed until much later. And he was a guy that we thought was a change agent, but he was actually a very bureaucratic kind of politician. I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm saying that he has played the game exactly the way most politicians play the game. And in his post-presidential years, he has monetized it better than anybody in the history of the world. Okay, people used to criticize Ronald Reagan for that $1 million speech he took to go to Japan, and people thought that was the worst thing they'd ever heard of. Take a look at the financial, and I'm not saying it's ill-gotten gains, but he has maximized his post-presidency better than any president in the history of the world. Now, we're going to talk about a lot more things. We want you to be a part of the discussion, 770-535-2911, or you can text us at that number. It's the Martha Zoller Show. We'll be...
Does your office technology slow your team down? Nothing is more frustrating than printers that jam, copiers that won't connect, and service providers that don't follow through. You and your team deserve technology that works. I'm Matt Nick, president of Duplicating Products, and for over 50 years, we've helped North Georgia offices eliminate bottlenecks, reduce downtime, and get reliable support for office technology. Our promise, we do what we say we will do. If you're tired of office equipment headaches, it's time for a change. Visit us today at duplicatingproducts.com.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion? That's billion with a B? Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words micro. That's pound 250, micro.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
There's a lot to love about the holiday season.
I love buying gifts for people.
Getting together with family you haven't seen in so long. It's that one time a year where you get to spend time with the family you miss the most.
I really like decorating the house.
But when you get right into it, it's the best thing in the world.
And we love that you're spending it with us on your radio home for the holidays. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. Former special counsel Jack Smith testifying in a closed-door deposition in front of the House Judiciary Committee about his prosecutions of Donald Trump. Fox News learning the FBI didn't have probable cause to raid Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in 2022, but they did it anyway.
I think it just underscores how political this whole thing was, not to mention the other things that happened with Jack Smith's investigation. Remember, they put a gag order on the President of the United States. This is something we'll ask him about today.
Chair of that committee, Jim Jordan, earlier on Fox and Friends. President Trump will address the nation tonight from the Oval Office. It begins at 9 p.m. Eastern. First court appearance expected soon for Nick Reiner. He faces the death penalty. The L.A. District Attorney accuses him of murdering his dad, famed Hollywood director Rob Reiner, and his mom, Michelle. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and public aid is needed in locating a Hall County woman last seen Tuesday evening. WDUN's Lawson Smith reports.
Hall County Sheriff's Office is on the lookout for 28-year-old Zindana Yondarova, who was last seen along the 1200 block of Overland Park Drive in Gainesville at around 8 p.m. Tuesday. She is described as 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighing about 120 pounds, with wavy brown hair and brown eyes.
Anyone with leads should contact the Hall County Sheriff's Office. A photo of Yondarova can be found at Access WDUN. Verbal argument turned machete assault in Hall County over the weekend, which led to a man losing his thumb, as WDUN's William Daughtry explains.
According to the Hall County Sheriff's Office, they responded to a residence on Floyd Road in Gainesville just after 3 a.m. on Saturday. During the fight that escalated, 42-year-old Carlos Hernandez Nicholas reportedly grabbed a machete and assaulted the victim. The victim was transported for injuries that included an amputated left thumb. Hernandez Nicholas was taken into custody and remains in jail without bond on a felony count of aggravated battery.
And the leader of Brenau University has been given another top responsibility outside of the Gainesville campus, as President David Barnett has been affirmed to serve as chairman for the 77-member Board of Trustees with Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. Details at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
We continue with mostly cloudy skies, but we will end up seeing some sunshine if you are not already. It's going to happen. Upper 50s to near 60 this afternoon. Low 40s for tonight with partly to mostly cloudy skies. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Commerce, 46 degrees, Cornelia 44, and in Gainesville 45. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
As an electric cooperative, Jackson EMC must always have an eye on the future, exploring the newest innovations taking place in every area of our business. Ideas that lead to a better use of resources and improved ways of conducting business. Automated switch technology, iPads in the field, and internal networking that enable us to pinpoint outages, access complex mapping, and provide faster response times. Jackson EMC, innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow.
Looking for real farm fresh meat? At Potts Family Meats, we bring you beef the way it's meant to be. Raised locally, cut fresh, and packed with the quality only a family operation can deliver. From thick, juicy steaks to tender roast and the freshest ground beef in town, Potts Family Meats brings the farm straight to your table. No shortcuts, no long-distance shipping, just honest, homegrown beef you can trust. Stop in today and taste the difference, or shop online at pottsbrosfarm.com to schedule your delivery. Potts Family Meats, farm fresh, family proud, always local.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Let's talk about the whole picture here as a whole. Guys, I'm losing patience on the whole thing because I think it's ridiculous that we're having this conversation, because underneath Obama, he had 500 strikes, 3,700 different individuals were killed. There wasn't a big show about this. What you guys are all upset about is the hemisphere that's working in. The hemisphere is these are drug terrorist organizations. The same people that Obama went after, some people we've been over for the last 24 years, were terrorist organizations that were wanting to kill Americans. There has been more Americans killed because of these terrorist cartels drugging our streets, drugging every one of your all streets, every one of your all's towns, every one of the audience's towns. They killed more people in 2024 on our streets than we lost in the entire Vietnam War for U.S. personnel. These are terrorist organizations that are poisoning our streets. The president has the authority to do so. The argument is it's too close to our shores. Does anybody doubt that these are terrorist organizations? Does anybody have a question about these being terrorist organizations? So
it is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Mark Wayne Mullen, who is a U.S. Senator from Oklahoma. And for a couple of years, I did a show at KRMG in Tulsa, Oklahoma on Sunday nights. It was a real experience because I had to figure out, doing an Oklahoma political talk show when I'm based in Georgia. But they gave me the opportunity to do it, and it went really well. And I got to meet Mark Wayne Mullen when he was running for Congress. And, don't underestimate him because he's got an Oklahoma accent. He's a very smart guy. Bill Crane is here with me right now. Bill, how you doing?
I am well, and I never underestimate people because of their accents, because I, like you, being a Southerner all my life, have been accustomed to particularly going to New York or Chicago, anywhere really north of Mason-Dixon line, and having people subtract 25 points from our IQ just because we say y'all on occasion.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was working for Riches, I used to love going into these New York showrooms, and they thought I wasn't that smart. And by the time I walked out, I had gotten a really good deal from my company. It was great.
I'd forgotten you were a merchant for Riches, but God, I love that company.
It was great. And it was funny. I had a meeting with Fox News Radio years ago when they were just starting out. They were looking at syndicating my show, and they, I have the meeting, I go to New York, I do all the things, and their problem with me was my accent. And I said, do you have a problem with Sean Hannity's accent? And they said, what accent? So it depends on where you are, and it's like, and I'm fine. And as I look back on it, I'm glad that didn't work out, because the shows that they've done haven't done that well. I mean, the ones that obviously are the Fox News hosts, yeah, they've done great, but the other shows they sponsored
they got a lot of
didn't do
cross
very well.
promotion, but Brian Kilmeade and Sean are about it.
Yeah, that's about it. So anyway, so it's been a really interesting week because of the shooting at Brown, the shooting at Bondi Beach, which to be fair, if we weren't living in the kind of communication world that we live in, we probably wouldn't have known about it, but it was still a horrific event. And then we've had the situation with Rob Reiner being killed and the president's response to it. And it's been a tough week for Republicans. I think that when I read the Vanity Fair article, which was the final cherry on top, right? I think here's my crazy idea. I think that Susie Wiles did that to try to bring back some of the MAGA's not going anywhere for Donald Trump.
No, I would agree with you. She was aiming at
nonpartisan people.
Trump voters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's
to
interesting.
Say things like, we need to take a look at our process on immigration and removing people, and how that, how we're doing that, to acknowledge problems. And I really thought it was intentional when I heard the president signed off on the article after the fact, kind of like, that's, it's got good stuff in it, particularly. And I took her comment about the president having an alcoholic mind differently, particularly when the media broke it out of context. Her father, Pat Summerall, great broadcaster, very high energy guy, also an alcoholic. And I think that what she was trying to say is, and my brother was an alcoholic and died an addict. When they're in the throes of it, often they think they're bulletproof.
Yes.
And that they can accomplish and do anything. There's not logic to it.
The funny thing is, Donald Trump has said that about himself. He has said, I have an alcoholic personality, I've never touched a drop, and that's one of the reasons why. Okay, so that actually shows
that and his brother's addiction that was really made a mark on him. Fred Jr., who was supposed to be the heir to the throne, if you will.
No, absolutely.
Due to his alcoholism.
And he was much older, and so it made a huge impact on him. And so it's really important that we see that. I love to see those moments of self-reflection because Trump does have them from time to time. I mean, when he was told about Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death, he was very gracious. The thing that just stuck in my craw about the Rob Reiner response is that, one, Rob Reiner came on television and after Charlie Kirk's death and was very gracious, very gracious. Rob Reiner's an old school liberal. Yes, he has a platform where he has been very hard on Donald Trump, no doubt about it. But he and his wife were killed allegedly by their son, and it had nothing to do with Donald Trump. And Donald Trump tried to make it about him, and that's what makes me mad about it. Not that he
that made me mad, and citing Charlie Kirk again, a lot of Republicans were very upset by Democrats who sort of danced on Charlie Kirk's grave.
We were calling for him to be fired.
And I would have to say that what the president just did was very similar.
Yes.
He took advantage of a situation, turned it into kind of a spotlight about him and a Trump derangement syndrome, and then the day after the social media post, which was so inflammatory, he sort of doubled down on it at the White House, again calling Mr. Reiner deranged. I would advise a screening of The American President at the White House, which is a Rob Reiner film. I think Mr. Trump would enjoy it and learn a few things about.
Well, and here's the thing too, is that I was just about to say, since both of you and I are in the communications business, people make mistakes. Like, I think the tweet was a mistake, or the whatever post it was, Truth Social post was a mistake. But he had the opportunity the next day in his own voice to fix it, and he didn't take it.
Own it, apologize, and move on.
Yes.
And that's, to me, great leaders. And there are good leaders and great leaders and bad leaders. But great leaders, because everybody, even Christ, has a few missteps along the way. But acknowledge it, own it, apologize for it, show others that, hey, I can do this. I can have a mistaken judgment or even a bad day, but it doesn't ruin everything because I'm sorry. I'll try to do better next time and move forward. The American people are an extremely forgiving bunch. But I think the tone deafness of that was shocking.
Well, and I think too, I know he's been taking a lot of pressure this week about what's going on in Venezuela and all of the going after the drug boats and things like that. And, and I would argue, I'm a big fan of the JFK inaugural address where he talks about focusing on our own hemisphere. And, I look at that back in 1961 and I say, man, if we had done that, instead of being involved in Vietnam and some of the other things we've been involved in, how much better of a world would this be? Because, for a minute when we closed textile factories in the United States, they went to Central and South America for a minute before we sent them to China. And again, we have really ignored our own hemisphere. And it seems to me we ought to take care of our own backyard first. And while it is volatile what's happening, I don't disagree with what Trump is doing because 100,000 people a year are dying in America because of drugs that are largely coming from Central and South America. Some of the components come from China, but it comes through Central and South America before it comes to our streets. So I don't mind. And you know what, Bill, you're going to think I'm crazy. I don't need to know every last detail about it, as long as what they're doing is legal.
No, I support drug interdiction, but I don't support blowing ships out of the water that we're not absolutely certain have drugs on them, and I certainly don't. The president's post this morning about an armada being assembled off the shore and that we're going to basically start seizing or holding up all oil tankers coming out of Venezuela. Yeah, that puts tremendous economic pressure on Maduro and his administration, but there are millions of people that live in Venezuela. That economy is completely tied to the production of oil, even more so than it is to the production of illicit drugs. And we got to take a little of that blame again ourselves. It's almost like there wouldn't be cocaine, fentanyl, and all these things flooding in the U.S. if there wasn't a market for it. If we weren't buying it here, and I'm not just talking about addicts, if the dealers that are part of the economy of the United States weren't buying it, selling it, making a huge profit on it, and yes, many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Americans die a year from addiction and various issues. it wouldn't be as popular as it is. And I would say that there are countries like Mexico and even Colombia where we know the problem is greater, but if they agree with us or follow our
when
objectives politically, we leave them alone.
I don't know if it's completely fair to blame the addict because
I'm not blaming the addict. I'm just saying that's treatment and offering more to people in poverty than go to jail or be a drug addict.
And I hear you on that, but so many of these deaths, you'd be shocked to know how many of these deaths were first-time users. They weren't addicts. They were
certainly with fentanyl.
With fentanyl, and that was close to 100,000 a year for fentanyl poisoning. And I call it fentanyl poisoning. I don't call it a drug overdose. Okay, because
I agree, but we don't really. I mean, I haven't seen any definitive proof. Cocaine, no question, but that Venezuela is a fentanyl production center. Even the administration stopped talking really about fentanyl a couple of weeks ago. If they don't have it and can't show it, then give us a full rationale and even say we want the oil, because that's part of it. They want those oil reserves.
Because I'm sure, I haven't talked to Donald Trump about this, but I'm sure what he thinks is we established the Venezuelan oil business, okay, and then we got kicked out
when
they
Chevron
became
largely.
Yeah, and did. Shell. I mean, I had an uncle who worked for
As
Shell.
happened in Saudi Arabia with the Brits and BP.
Yeah, absolutely,
but then they nationalized it.
Absolutely. So I get it, and but I do think that what we have to do, I would like to see him focus less on international stuff right now. I mean, he's got to finish what he started, but I would like to see him focus more on domestic and talk more about that. And I do think it is an important point that when people file their taxes this year, because most people have kept the same withholding all year long, and they're going to have different rules when they file this year, and there may be a bump with people getting bigger returns and things like that. So I think we've got a window till about the end of March for things to start looking better, and then we'll be in good shape. But otherwise, I think Republicans need to get better at messaging, and they need to get better because look, Bill, I believe conservative values are better. Okay, I think that if you implement them well, conservative values are the best for our country. And so we got to communicate it better.
I hope the article in Vanity Fair, and I thought Ms. Wiles made a number of good points in it, is an indication that she's reasserting her influence in the White House, because part of it was in there. Also said she sort of had a tacit agreement with the president that the grievance squaring was going to be done within 100 days of his inauguration. For the first 3 months, kind of settle scores and then move on with the agenda. And I hope part of that agenda reset button she's pressing is with him, and that she's becoming back to being the more central sphere of influence than Stephen Miller and some of the people in the White House, who I don't think are the best leaders for Donald Trump and the best people to be guiding him. But he does have a tendency to favor the advice of people who praise him, people who tell him he's making all the right decisions, and sometimes he's not.
No, sometimes we all are not. Anyway, thank you. Hope you have a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk again next week.
You too. Best
Thank
to your
you.
family. Take care.
We'll take a break, and there's lots more to come.
This week on Bud's Garage, favorite Christmas movies, last-minute car gift certificates, and an amazing Christmas tree adventure. That's Bud's Garage, Saturday at noon, presented by Oakwood Tire on North Georgia's News Talk WDUN. Always here, always local.
This is Mark Turner with Select Pest Control, and my grandkids want to tell you a story.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house,
not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. 'Cause they called Select Pest Control, duh. Select Pest Control wants to wish you Merry Christmas.
If you want to have a pest-free Christmas, give Select Pest Control a call at 770-536-8837. And Merry Christmas.
Onward Reserve knows men want clothing that not only fits their body, but their lifestyle. They want something that's comfortable, stylish, and unpretentious. At Onward Reserve, every piece of clothing, footwear, and accessory is designed for a lifestyle of making memories with the people and places he loves most. This holiday season, give him a gift that helps him live authentically. Visit Onward Reserve at 106 Spring Street, downtown Gainesville. Open 7 days a week. Onward Reserve. Live authentically.
When you have a problem with your roof, you want someone who can respond quickly, but also who knows roofing. That's what you get at Georgia Select Roofing. This is Chris Earls, and we do roofing right. Estimates are free, we can help you navigate your insurance claim, and we also offer financing. Check out our Google reviews, and you'll see that Georgia Select Roofing offers the best service around. See us today at georgiaselectroofing.com or call us at 678-316-6899. 6899. Family owned and operated, Georgia Select Roofing has you covered.
All
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage, no medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Warning, the national debt is spiraling out of control. Trade wars are causing record volatility, and inflation could make a devastating comeback. Will you sit on the sidelines and wait, or will you take action today to help protect your hard-earned retirement savings? And what if you could do it tax and penalty-free? Find out more by requesting your free 2025 gold and silver kit from the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco. Plus, you could get an unlimited instant match on bonus silver if you qualify. Call 855-969-GOLD to learn more. That's 855-969-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, Hall County investigators are searching for a local woman last seen Tuesday evening in Gainesville. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
As well, say, hold on a second, do we want to start another war?
Good question. Well, I don't think it's very America first to let a narco-terrorist state with an illegitimate government that's aligned with China and Russia and Iran do things in our hemisphere that we don't like, with drugs or anything else. I don't think we like it that they're trying to go into Guyana right now and take over their oil either. And so the president's position has always been, this is the Western Hemisphere, we're going to police it, and we don't even recognize these guys as a legitimate government. And so he's trying to bring about a situation where the worst people in the hemisphere are not enriching themselves, not distributing drugs. And if we wind up with a legitimately elected government there that's aligned with the United States instead of Russia, China, and Iran, that's America first.
I'd love to add some facts to this.
I see you leaning in, John.
Yeah.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and we got a couple of text messages. One from Roy in Houston. It says, I just want to remind everyone in this season of the Lord where people in high places are calling other people garbage and telling the nation that they don't want them. The Lord used an unwed teenage woman in the backwater place to begin a plan that could save all of humanity, that will save all of humanity. I changed his word on that. It's sad, doubly sad, that the leader of men cannot muster up enough empathy or compassion to console the public after a brutal murder of a public figure. What makes it doubly sad is the silence of the half-hearted, lame attempts to mildly disagreeing with anyone just because they're in powerful positions. Angels filled the night sky and proclaimed boldly the birth of the newborn king. Why are we so angry? You know, I'll tell you why. We don't talk to each other enough. I'll tell you that right now. That's what it is. We're in our little silos. All we do is talk to each other. And you know what? I am enriched when I have to defend my position to people who don't agree with me. And I learn more. I've said this for years and years and years. I learn more talking to someone who I disagree with about what I believe because I have to defend it and justify it. And that doesn't mean I don't change my mind along the way. And Lord knows when I ran for Congress, my opponent used that against me and used it well against me. But I'm thankful that I didn't compromise my values when I ran for Congress. And I'm thankful that I didn't compromise my values when I worked for candidates. And even when I worked for that super PAC, which I've said often that was the sleaziest job I ever had, but I learned a lot from it. I didn't compromise my values there either. And, you know, and when I have felt like I've done the wrong thing, I've really tried to rectify it quickly. Because let me tell you something. I still remember those things, and I still shake my head when I think about them. And I've tried to fix things immediately, and I think it's served me well. I have good relationships with a lot of different people, and I had a friend tell me, or a doctor tell me one time, hold your your enemies close. No, how did it go? I want to make sure we get it right. Hold your friends close because your enemies will always be there. There are going to be people that just aren't going to like you no matter what. But, you just accept that and you pray for them. And you hope. My prayer every night when my husband and I pray is we thank the Lord for another day because he's a 10-year cancer survivor. We pray for discernment for ourselves and for our children and extended family and for the world, because nobody's going to tell someone else what to think. No one's going to tell someone else what to do. People have to come to things on their own. That is why God gave us free will. And so I pray for discernment. And why are we so angry, Roy? You asked the question. Because we're allowing ourselves to be. We are pushing out God and allowing anger to come in. I just watched a clip with Katie Couric, how she was lifting up this I've Had It podcast where all these women do is curse. And I just think that it's beneath them. And they're horrible. And you know what? I like Megyn Kelly, but she uses too much of that language too. And she's been wrong about a lot of things lately. And just because she fights back harder doesn't mean she's right. Now, the other text message we got, let me make sure we've got one more here, I think. Good morning, Martha. I wake up at 4 a.m. when I saw the news about Rob Reiner. They were reporting at that point there were 2 people murdered on the property, and they weren't even talking about it being Rob and his wife. But their ages they released, and I'm adding this in because and then they made the point it was the same ages as Rob and Michelle Reiner. So they were implying that it was them, even though they weren't saying that it was them yet. The texter goes on, I wish we would have just been quiet. He would have just been quiet and said nothing or just sent his condolences. I just hope that what happened, because I would love to think that he would not have made those comments knowing that they had their throats slashed and were stabbed repeatedly. I would hope President Trump wouldn't have said that without knowing the specifics of the murders. That's from Lisa in Gainesville. And then Don said, Trump has had several interviews concerning God and faith. To the best of my knowledge, Trump's answer on forgiveness is that he has never asked for it because he didn't need it. From his actions, he also has trouble forgiving people. I would love to look that up because I hope that someone would not say, I've never asked for forgiveness because I never need it. And you know what? I know he's talked about how badly. You know what? I'm gonna rephrase this. I think he's the kind of person that can't admit when he's wrong, but he'll change his actions when he's wrong. Because he took really good care of his first wife until she died. He has always taken good care of Marla Maples, who was his second wife. And he's raised his children well. I think he's more of an actions person when it comes to forgiveness, but you need to be able to say when you did wrong, and you need to be able to ask for forgiveness. It's as important as giving it. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show. We are always here, always local.